Welcome to the Second Bite Podcast, where we talk with top entrepreneurs and CEOs about creating valuable companies through creative transactions. Now, let's get started with the show.
Okay, we're starting part 2 with Dan Khabie. Was terrific. I would have talked to him for another hour if I could have, and if he would have had the time, but I didn't want to cut it short while he was still talking. You saw part 1. If not, go watch part 1 first. This is part 2 of Dan Khabie from CourtAvenue. Really, really insightful on many ways. Enjoy the episode.
Off the top thinking, I got a sucker in my hand. That's what they're thinking.
Wow.
We got a sucker.
Of course.
So I end up going back pitching to the team. We all get together, like, let's just do it. Let's make a mark. And little we know that one of our biggest competitors was in there in the process of taking away all the business. Company called Sapient, which was the best in the business.
Yep.
And we did the deal, and we were in trouble from day one. And I say that in one of my other podcasts. I moved there like for 3 summers in a row, and I don't remember what happened. But what happened was the end result of that was the birth of Mirum, was my next chapter. That's what happened as the end result.
And that's because you just had to get rid of the name and the image of JWT, or how did it come about?
What part? The Mirum or the turnaround the office?
Mirum. Yeah.
Mirum came about because what happened was we turned around Minneapolis. Our entire executive team turned around Minneapolis. And as a result of that, people around the world start reaching out. And they're like, hey, my name is, David. I'm in London. And I got acquired by J. Walter Thompson. They're trying to kill me. I'm this person over here. I'm being destroyed in Asia. We heard what you did. Can we all get together? So we all get together secretly behind everyone's back, and we create a playbook called FISH, Project FISH in honor of Razorfish, which is the development of an integrated agency, digital agency that would stand side by side with J. Walter Thompson, suck down all their clients, and building the network. And that was the plan. That was the vision. And J. Walter Thompson said no at the time. They didn't want to do it because they didn't want to create another brand.
Yeah.
Too risky. I was coming close to the end of my earnout, which I kind of knew that Digitaria would be dead, right? It wouldn't have lasted if I didn't do anything. And a guy named Gustavo Martinez takes on the job. Gustavo I know he just took the job. I asked him to meet with me right away. We all fly into Barcelona. It was a gorgeous day in Barcelona. Gustavo comes walking in. I shake his hand. I say, Gustavo, my name is Dan Khabie. He goes, I know who you are. He goes, I hear you have big ambitions. He gives me a kiss, cheek, cheek, cheek. He goes, come show me what you want. Show me what you want to do. I walk in there and we pitch Project FISH. And he says, I love it. Who's going to be CEO? And at the time, I don't know. I wasn't ready for that role.
It's a big global job, man.
Yeah. I'm a little fucking schmuck in San Diego. Like this, this is not, I asked her like, hey, honey, like, I got to ask my wife about this. Like, did you don't take a job like that? And that was the first time that I went from being Dan Khabie from Minnesota to Dan Khabie from Beirut, Lebanon.
Right. Wow. Let me drill into a couple things real quick. So when you did your deal with them, the structure was cash and earnout. Do you remember roughly how much percentage?
30, it was like 30 down and the rest on earnout. We maxed on earnout.
So it was 30% down, 70% earnout.
Yeah, we maxed it.
When you did it, that deal, how long was the earnout? 3, 4, 5 years?
It was like 4 years, 4.5 years.
Okay. So when you did this deal, now you always wanted to be a part of there. So you've accomplished your lifelong objective at the professional objective. Did you say, I'm going to get all this money? Or did you say, I don't even care if I get it or not. It's house money. Let's just gamble with it. What was your mentality?
No. My mentality was I've got to deliver for all of our investors. Like I've got to make sure that everyone,
plus your partners, right?
All my business partners, they get what they want. They didn't have the same vision and like dream that I wanted. They weren't addicted like I was. I had to make sure that everyone got what they wanted. We all had to make sure everyone got what they wanted. So
is that called friction amongst the 5 of you guys?
Which part?
You wanting to taking a 70% earnout, wanting to roll it forward, putting it back into equity, recapitalize.
I think we're on the same page. What caused friction is I had to get closer to the center in order to both, one, max out earnout, and to run the playbook that I wanted to run. And I'd say that's what created friction. The friction came from my partners feeling what side of the team was I on.
Interesting.
Which I get.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me ask this. So you made a bet like that, your conversation on the beach, because it was so obvious the things that needed to be fixed. Is that because you were from the outside coming in? Is that because you were from a younger generation, not mired in the past? Is it because you had studied more and learned more about the industry and what people want? What do you attribute that to?
I saw clients that we could grab, big clients that we didn't have access to that we could grab, a big one in particular.
To do
to do all the digital tech that they weren't doing today. So I saw a whole new revenue stream. Yeah, because they were doing, yeah. So I saw that. I saw a home market in Minneapolis I can build. That's a home court advantage for me. I saw that. I saw that. I bet on the fact that we had an amazing team. I had a great operator, great team, great tech team, everyone around me. I believe that we can deliver with this team. And so that combination and working together, I just believed it. And we just had really good people that I knew that we could, as a team, that we could go in there and turn around. What I didn't know at the time, that Sapient was in there. I didn't know at the time that this was they thought it was a bullshit deal. Like they couldn't believe we actually went for it. And I didn't know at the time that this would lead me to what we know today as Mirum. Didn't know that.
So at what point, moving on to Mirum now, at what point did you say or realize Mirum is a success? I've accomplished what I've needed to. It's time for me to move on.
Oh, my dad died. My dad passed away, was probably my moment where I just felt it was time for me to progress forward. I felt it was
because what were you not getting? What were you not doing?
One of the biggest things is that when you're in a big corporation like that, you learn to play defense really well.
You got to protect your turf and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You learn to say no a lot. You learn to protect. You learn to take less risk. You learn to minimize your downside. You learn to manage up. You learn the things you need to do in working in a big corporation. And you learn to effectively be a goalkeeper. I'm a goal scorer, not a goalkeeper. And when you continue to be a goalkeeper and you just miss being a goal scorer. That was one. Number two, my dad was a tailor. He was always close to clients. He learned trends by being close to clients. I was too far removed from customers now. And I miss that. I miss being next to customers. And number three, I miss being a street kid. I want to go back to the streets. I want to go back and fight. I wanted to go get dirty again. I wanted to, leave. And I always tell people, when we started CourtAvenue, I sat there in my garage. I could go into great stories of this, but I had a pen and a tear in my eye because that was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. My dad had passed. I've now left a company I loved in Miram. I loved it. I loved WPP. I loved everything I did. I just knew that I had this window and an opportunity. I was young enough to create something again. And I wanted to see if I still had that eye of the tiger. I wanted to see if I still can do it. If I had it in me to do it again. And leaving a corporate job and a great role and being incredibly happy and everything had fallen into motion. They gave me everything I wanted. Unbelievable experience. To leave all that and to start fresh was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my entire life.
So people talk about doing that all the time. And I find they talk about doing that when they were forced out and they make that up as the reason. I want to spend more time with my family, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very rare in all of business for somebody to do and to take a step like that. I think a lot of people listening might say, well, shit, you've already made a crap load of money. You do anything you want. It's not that big of a risk. How would you respond to that?
I don't know. It's a great question, Todd. I mean, at that moment in time, you're not thinking about whether the money is going to last you the rest of your life.
The money you have.
The money you have. Number one, you're not thinking that. Number two, the biggest risk I took was my identity. Was betting on, I'm betting against a huge opportunity where I was at. I mean, Mark Reed, who ran WP, I mean, I was very close. I was close with him. I mean, everything fell into place. And the risk was leaving there that they would inevitably destroy, Mirum would inevitably go down. And like I knew everything. I knew it was at stake. I knew it was at stake and jobs would be lost and everything. So that was a big risk to do that, because by me leaving, I let a lot of people down. And by me leaving, I knew that what I'd built would no longer be there. And that was a really hard thing for me. And I also had to leave that kid behind. I had to leave that person behind. I had to leave. I got really good at what I did at Miram, really good. And I had to leave that guy behind. I had to learn how to fight without a gang around me, because I had a gang. And they made it easy for me. So it was easy to fight when you got tons of people. But how do you do when you're back on the street again? So for me, it was a real personal test to really see if I had it in me, if I could do it again. So I tell people, like, the greatest risk you take is when you leave a bird in hand. And I had a bird in hand.
Yes, I agree with that.
And taking that risk was a big risk. And again, my experience at WP was the best time of my life. I mean, I couldn't stop. I mean, I was an addict. As a matter of fact, I had to resign 15 times because they couldn't believe I was leaving. I mean, they could not believe it. I mean, it was until I never went back into the office. I just never went back, because every time I went in there, they were like, Dan, I know you're not leaving. You love this too much.
Did you have CourtAvenue in your mind when you were, you just like, were you going to take off 6 months or a year or a month or?
I wanted to go through my non-compete. I did non-compete for a year, and I wanted to abide by that. And I wanted to see, I wanted to mourn my dad, take some time off to mourn my dad. I wanted to take some time off to deinstitutionalize myself, get the words out of my mouth that they use, go back to being a street fighter again, watching a lot of Rocky movies, doing a lot of long walks. And I'll never forget, I'm walking and my wife says to me, this is, I don't know, this is like 7 months into it. She looks at me, she goes, Dan, you're ready. And I said, can I leave now? Can I go? She's like, you're ready. And I'll tell you something, man, never forget that moment. I ended up, because one of the other things I realized is my kids never saw me build a business before. I was by the time I had become Miram.
You were the man.
They never saw it. They never saw what it took. And I felt like the biggest thing they could see from me is to watch me build a company. We're a better place to do it than the garage. And I ended up, I woke up after my wife gave me the signal. Big smile on my face. I end up going in there and I tell my kids the next morning, I said, guys, take all your shit out of here. I got a pickup truck coming. I don't care. It's all gone. Everything's gone. This is my office. Get rid of everything. And I hired someone to come the next day to whiteboard the entire thing, my whole thing. And there's no air conditioning in here. It was think of a sweat gym. That's the way to think about it. This was not like a nice place. Trust me. And I sat there at the desk and a pen in my hand, and I began writing ideas down. And I sat there every day. I sat there every day. I worked out there. I sat there. I worked out there. I sat there. I would never leave there. My kids would write quotes on there, and I sat there for months upon months upon months. I'd invite people in. The best part was I'd send people a menu, and I'd cook breakfast for people, eggs, omelets, whatever they want. And they think like they're used to seeing me like in this amazing office, right above like the Pacific Ocean. And they come in with suits and ties, and they're in this hothouse, and they see all these ideas up there. They're like, what the fuck is going on here? But they have these eggs and they have these things, and they start looking around the wall. I'm like, no. You look at that part of the wall. Don't worry about everything else. Tell me what you think about that. Could that work? Could that not? I brought in experts across everything that I had written down. People that have been great to me were able to give me insights on every one of those things. And that was the beginning of me deinstitutionalizing myself, regrowing myself, rebuilding myself, building a new chapter. And that's what I tell people. When you go through the sell of a company, if you want to do it again, if you want to rebuild your life again, you got to do it with a lot of heart. You got to do it with a lot of tears. You got to do it with a lot of shame, a lot of innocence, a lot of humility, and you got to get going. And it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. Ever done in my life. You
were like Russell Crowe in Beautiful Minds, right?
I don't know. I mean, I love Russell Crowe's. I mean, I love it, but it was I don't know. I just again, it was a moment where I was grieving. It was a moment in which I was coming to terms with things. It was a moment in which I was trying to, find a new life for myself. I was back in the general population.
So let me ask this, a granular piece. So when you left, you had been there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But you still had a 1-year non-compete. Where did that come from? You have an employment agreement.
Yeah, the employment agreement had a 1-year non-compete. Had a non-solicitation non-compete.
But this was nothing attached to your original deal.
No.
You just, now that you're a big shot, we have everybody with an employment agreement. Here's how much we'll pay. And
it's not enforceable, but I wanted to do the right thing by them because they did the right thing by me. So I thought I owed it to them to get. Yeah, and I love when competition gets a head start. I got no problem. Take a head start.
So now, CourtAvenue, I can't even calculate the growth rate. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
But you were small agency of the year last year, fastest growing agency, blah, blah, blah. So give me a little bit of a brag there, but tell me what you're building. And as an M&A guy, I would be negligent for not asking, are there pieces that you're looking to plug into this new master plan?
So first of which I'll tell you, I would not want to be on the other side of us in a pitch. That I can tell you. Because when I was on the inside, one thing, this is my analogy. I've never been in prison before, but I guess if you go to prison, you either become a better criminal or you find religion. When you join the network at WPP, you just become a better entrepreneur. Because you're meeting all the guys that have built and all the women that built their businesses. And a guy like me who studied everyone, every playbook, I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, I could not get enough of it. Tell me your story. Tell me your story. Tell me, why did you do this? Why did you acquire this? Why did you do? I mean, I went ballistic. And through that process, I came across a bunch of guys, and I came across this one guy. I believe that every brand would have to become a shopping cart. I was doing a lot of work with Qualcomm, and I saw their business shifting. And like every brand had to become a shopping cart. And we never really figured out e-commerce at Digitaria or Mirum. And I wanted to be close to e-commerce people. And I came across a guy named Kenny Tomlin. He built a company called Rockfish. Really smart people. He built his business in the back of Walmart, one of the largest retailers in the world. And I'm going to myself, I got to do business with this guy. And he was a very good operator. So again, I need to be around good operators, strong personality operators, because I do better in that playbook. So Kenny and I get together. He made tons of money. Kenny was like done. He was done. I'm like, Kenny, we got to go another shot, brother. And he comes in that hot room. He and I are brainstorming. We're talking about everything. And he comes to me and goes, Dan, I do have something for you. I'm like, what? He goes, this guy in this small town, Ohio, pays our first road ever in America. And the physical distance between A and B didn't change, but the actual distance did because of the paved road. We should be in the business of shortening the distance to 2 points, leveraging strategy, technology, and data. And the name of that first road was called CourtAvenue.
You have great naming stories. Well done.
In love, man. As soon as I heard that, it spoke to Americano culture. It spoke to kind of what was happening with tech. It spoke to the type of culture we want to build with not wasting our clients' time. And it spoke to this idea of innovation and technology. And it also spoke to first, this idea of being first, the first paved road. So we essentially went out to build a business with 4 parts of it. One of which was we were going to reinvent Omnicom, or the big holding companies. What would it look like today? And we set on this path to build the next great American holding company. That was our vision. Okay. And we believe that the big holding companies, all pretty much are global. So Omnicom and Stagwell, the next great holding company has not been written yet. And we believe that we have a chance to write it. And we set out starting this beginning of 2019. Yeah, 19 is when we began dreaming this up. This is when we started talking about this, Kenny and I, right? 18 was off, 19 we began talking about it. And we said, what would be the components of it? Well, we need a really strong technology strategy consulting business. We need a really strong commerce business, e-commerce business. We need to be able to acquire capabilities, certain skill sets in the business. And then we need to have IP in the business where we can actually spin off technology and software. Kenny's done a lot of software. He's built a lot of tech. So one thing is saying it as an agency you can build software. Another thing is actually doing it and building and scaling it. So we set out to do those 4 things, and that's what we are today. And we do those 4 things today. We have our digital tech consulting business. We have our commerce business. We have our capabilities where we just acquired Modify, gigantic playground. We spun up Latin America to give us our scale. We just invested in a company called Profit Logic, the largest Amazon, Amazon technology companies out there. And then we just launched Genjo, our first generative AI e-commerce product that is focused on the dealership marketplace. So we are a mess of greatness. We are out there building
dealership marketplace, like the auto dealers?
Auto dealers, going after auto dealers. Yep. Okay. Very targeted. Okay. Kia is one of our biggest clients, and we're trying to reinvent digital retail and helping the dealers be more successful in their transactions. And we built a piece of software that supports dealerships, fully integrated into dealerships. It's super cool. You can take a look at North County Kia for those that are listening. Take a look at it. We just deployed it. So I've never been so excited about what it is we're building. I've never been so confused about what it is we're building. I've never been so confused about the market we're trying to build it in. I've never been so excited about where it's going. And I don't know where the world's going, Todd. All I know is I want to be alive to be in it, because we're going to see some of the biggest transformation over the next 10 years we've ever seen in our entire life. And I just want to be in the middle of it. So we're going to continue to build this company. The company's generating a lot of cash flow. We're using that cash flow to acquire businesses. So if you're in a 1 to 3 EBITDA range and you're interested in being acquired, we're open to business. We're talking to people. We're talking capabilities.
So let me hit on that for 1 second, because I'm sure there's a ton of people 1 to 3 of EBITDA here, and this hearing your passion and excitement is all very exciting, and I'm much easier to connect with than you are, so people can reach to me. But all your information will be in the show notes and everything else at secondbitepodcast.com. However, when you think about, because you've acquired many companies, you've sold, you've been in the mix. Now that you're in the position that you're at, if you had to name, let's say, 3 things that you would look for, in the first phone call. Yeah. Let's assume that the capability or the piece that they have is one that you want, right? Fits that need. Beyond that, what are 3 things that you're like, if they don't have this, life's too short? What would those 3 be?
Niche and service offerings. Number 1. Very, very niche and service offerings. That's what we're looking for. People that can extend and build upon the capabilities we have. So people that are very niche, whether it's CRM loyalty, a particular piece of technology, very niche. Very strong leadership team. People that have built businesses, understand how to scale them, have done it before, or B, they haven't done it before, but they're incredibly ambitious and really smart and savvy, and they understand the business model that makes them successful. And number 3, they have a vision for where their industry can evolve and how they can grow their business. Those are 3 things that I think about when we're talking to people. And then honestly, it comes down to instinct for us. It comes down to like, do we think or don't we think they can do it? Do we think that by them being a part of our business, do we think they can do it? And that's a risk we take with people. And we look for things that we feel like we can take, 1 + 1 could be a 30. And those are 3 things, Todd, that we go after.
And so Gigantic Playground is a group that you bought. Will that just remain Gigantic Playground, or at some point will you merge brands?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're doing great. I mean, these guys they're digitizing Universal Studios right now. They're amazing. So, I think we allow entrepreneurs to be entrepreneurs when they're ready. That's how we did Miram. I never told people to become Miram. They can decide whether they want to be Miram. So as we build CourtAvenue, and if it makes strategic sense for them to be CourtAvenue, they'll do it. In the meantime, we allow entrepreneurs to be entrepreneurs. We allow them to run their own business, and we give them the operation, the infrastructure, sales. I mean, we help drive the pipeline. And so they're a part of our entity, and then their multiples go up, right? They're not trading. They're going from trading at 7 times with a $1 to $3 million business to hopefully 15 times that we've seen already for CourtAvenue, the offers we've gotten in our business.
So that's going to take me to my final question. Where does where does CourtAvenue, where do you wind up as you see the world now? Will you go public at some point? Will you sell to a larger private equity and accelerate your growth? Do you have any plans or thoughts like that?
No, I mean, I think right now our playbook is continue to get market share. We want to continue to find entrepreneurs that want to be part of something amazing. We want to continue to expand our clients that we have now. We do a lot of work with Fortune 500 companies. We want to continue to grow overseas as we continue to do it. And then the rest will kind of work itself out. And we're always open to ideas. I mean, this is why we started this business, because we want to be flexible. We want to be entrepreneurial. And so we have no idea what's ahead of us. And we're just focused on today and focused on driving our business and trying to create company with a lot of humility, a lot of heart, and continue to build. And there's a lot of headwinds around us. And so we've got to be very laser focused, and everyone's out there trying to make sense of our business and continue to grow it. And, we focus on our strategy and execute on it. And that's what we do. So, I mean, that's what I'll tell you kind of where we see our future.
Well, I got to tell you, I think, so first of all, thank you for this. It's been terrific. Number one. Number two, we got to connect again this, in 15, 18, 24 months and get an update on the story. Cause I have a sense that I'm going to be an early adopter into the story of what you guys are doing. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the words of inspiration and the insight. It was super helpful. And your contact information and all can be found at secondbitepodcast.com or wherever you podcast from. Dan, great to have you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Todd, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Second Bite Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.